All right, so what I want to talk about for this Friday night reflection is I'm gonna go over one of the readings that we had assigned in class for Tuesday, and then I'm gonna connect that to the speaker. So the what I'm doing is on page 459. It's called "Composing a Life Story" by Marie Catherine Bateson. So basically, she just kind of talks about how life is an art form as she thinks of it. I mean, I think that's kind of crazy. Like I don't know, because I don't know, just living your life is just like life. I guess you could think of it as an art form if you like looking back on it. If you're like kind of towards the end of your days, you're getting older, you could say like, oh, I did this and did that. But during it, I don't know. So right here, I read this example and I feel like it kind of displays exactly what she's talking about, at least for me. So it says, as you get up in the morning, as you make decisions, as you spend money, make friends, make connections, you're creating a piece of art called your life. And I get that the experiences kind of add up and they mean something in the end or they mean something eventually. But I think, at least for me personally, I think that's kind of like thinking a little bit too deep into it. Like, I don't think you should. I mean, I guess it's good to look at it like that, but I don't want to analyze every little bit, every piece of thing that I do and say, oh, this is a part of my artwork, or this is part of my this, or this is part of my that. I think because I'm not really like an artsy person, so I just don't really see like the value, and I don't know, I guess wasting time's like over analyzing things. But I feel like, yeah, I just kind of live in the moment. I don't really like kind of analyze that, like everything that I do. That's what I feel like she's kind of doing here. And she makes another point right here where she says, yeah, she mentions something about having two versions right here. So she mentions one version, it says right here, for example, one version of my life story goes like this. I already thought of myself as a writer when I was in high school, and it has been a year in college since that I haven't published something. Now I spend half the year writing full time and half the year writing and teaching. Many of my students are future writers. And then another version that she mentions right here, I planned to be a poet, but I gave up writing poetry in college. The only writing I did was 4 years. Was academic, published, or perish writing. When I became unemployed because of the Iranian Revolution, shortly after my mother died, I dealt with unemployment by starting to write a memoir. So like she mentions like two versions. I feel like you don't have to think about like things that deep. I don't know, because as I'm just reading, I'm just kind of like, this is just how I just think of things. I feel like you just kind of like live in a moment. You don't really have to think like that deeply into things. I mean, I get like different aspects of your life change, and there's always like a coulda, woulda, shoulda, or something else could have happened. But I don't know, I just feel like there's no point in like thinking like that. But onto the speaker. So this is, it's like when I first like read this, like instantly like thought back to the speaker composing a life story about how he said he changes his career like a bunch of times, and I just feel like that's a tough thing to do. It definitely like, there's no motivation now. You miss, like, you get one in profession and you can't go through the next. You go through the next one, that one sucks. You go to the next one, that one sucks. So like, sometimes I just thought about like, at what point do you like give up, or what point are you satisfied with like you just not being able to find something, or are you ever going to be satisfied with like not finding your thing? Because that's kind of one of my fears. I don't want to have to like bounce around all the time and never be settled, and never be like always wondering what's the next thing, or if this one's gonna last, or what am I gonna do after this. So I don't know, if anything, that just kind of gets me kind of like I don't like uncertainty. I don't like not being sure, not knowing what like the future holds for me. So I don't know, just hearing him changing his profession. Some people do it like a bunch of times, just kind of like worried me. I don't know, I couldn't stand like doing that. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. I kind of just want to live in the moment, not really overthink things. I don't really want to think about two versions of my life, or what happened in the past, or what could have happened, or I don't know. This is not really my thing. So that reading I didn't really like that reading at all. But I guess it's good to see what I'm not interested in, versus how that can like connect to my life. If that makes sense. So.